Hey everyone, and welcome back to English Active Listening. I'm Alyssa, and today we're diving deep into one of the most common and, let's be honest, often frustrating challenges for English learners. How can you truly talk in English without constantly having to think so much? You know that feeling, right? You're in a conversation, maybe with someone who speaks English, a coworker, or even just having a thought to yourself. And there's this internal tug of war. Every single word, every phrase seems to need to go through a mental translator in your head. You build the sentence in your first language first, then carefully, word by painful word, you change it into English. It's like your brain is running a super powerful computer, but it's stuck on the slowest internet connection. This process is very tiring. It makes your answers slow and unsure, and it can really start to make you feel less confident. But here's the truly good news. This is a very common experience for people learning a new language, and it's a completely normal part of the journey. In fact, it just shows your brain is working hard to connect two whole language systems. The even better news? You can absolutely get past this. Today, we're going to explore some useful, step-by-step ways that will help you skip that internal translator and start speaking English more naturally, more easily, and with so much more confidence. Our main goal here is to help you find that wonderful, easy flow where your thoughts become words in English, almost without effort. Before we jump into all the great solutions, let's just take a moment to understand why we sometimes get stuck in this translation trap. When you first started learning English, or any new language, your brain naturally linked new words and phrases to what they mean in your first language. This was, and still is, a strong and important way to learn. It's how you first understand things. Think of it like this. Your brain builds a kind of bridge between your first language and English. When you hear a word like apple in English, your brain immediately connects it to the idea of an apple and its word in your first language. This is great for understanding. However, when it comes to speaking, this very same bridge can sometimes slow things down. Instead of going straight from an idea or a thought to an English phrase, your brain takes a longer way around. It goes, idea in first language goes through a quick mental change to the native word, then a change to the English word, and then finally you speak the English word. This many-step process is exactly what causes you to hesitate and feel like you're thinking too much. Our main goal isn't to get rid of that bridge between languages. It's always helpful to know two languages after all. Instead, we want to build a brand new, direct path in your brain. A path that goes straight from a thought or an idea directly to an English phrase, completely skipping your first language. This direct brain pathway is exactly what lets people who speak English as their first language talk so easily and freely. And guess what? You can absolutely build it too. This might sound very simple, maybe even obvious, but it is, without a doubt, the most powerful change you can make. Try to think in English always and often. This isn't about saying perfect sentences right away. It's about changing how you talk to yourself inside your head. Your brain is always telling you what's happening, planning what to do next, and processing information. Usually, this inner voice speaks in your first language. We need to purposefully change that. So, how do you start small and slowly build this great habit? Begin by just talking about simple, everyday things to yourself in English. For instance, when you get out of bed in the morning, you might think, okay, I'm waking up. Time to stretch. I need to make coffee. Where are my slippers? When you're making breakfast, try thinking, I'm making toast now. I need to put the bread in the toaster. I'll have some butter and jam with that. It might feel a little bit strange or awkward at first, but this simple action makes your brain use English words and grammar right away, in a calm way. No one is there to judge your mistakes, and nothing bad can happen. This builds the basic habit. You can also try this while doing chores. As you're washing dishes, think, first I'll rinse this plate. Then I'll add some soap to the sponge. This water feels quite warm. Now I'll scrub the pan. Or if you're cleaning your room, I need to pick up these clothes. I'll put them in the laundry basket. The bed definitely needs to be made. Even something like making your grocery shopping list can be a strong English thinking exercise. Instead of writing your list in your first language, try to make it all in English. Even if you just list items like milk, eggs, bread, apples, you're actively using English words in a real situation. As you walk through the store aisles, keep up the inner talk. I need to find the dairy section. Oh, here's the cheese. Do I need butter today? Take this idea to planning and problem solving. If you're planning your day or trying to figure out a small problem, try to do that inner planning completely in English. What do I need to do today? First, I should send that email. Then I need to get ready for the meeting. After that, I should call John. If you find a problem, say it in English. Why isn't this working? Maybe I plugged it in wrong. I should probably check the wires. Even reacting to things around you can be practice. When you see something interesting, try to say how you feel about it in English. If you see a beautiful sunset, think, wow, that's an amazing sunset. Look at all those colors. If you hear a funny sound, think, what was that noise? It sounded like a cat. This way of thinking works because it trains your brain to make a direct link between an idea or a concept and its English words, completely skipping your first language. It's like doing exercises for your English-speaking brain. The more you do it, the stronger those direct links become, and the less your brain needs to use that old translation bridge. It slowly but surely starts to become the usual way your inner thoughts work. One of the biggest mistakes many learners make is focusing too much on single words. They try to change word for word, which often leads to sentences that don't sound natural, grammar mistakes, and, of course, that slow, difficult translation process we're trying to avoid. People who speak English as their first language don't build sentences word by word. They use phrases, common sayings, and groups of words that they already know well. Think of these groups of words as the LEGO blocks of English. Instead of learning, how are you, as 4 separate words and then having to carefully put them together every time, you simply learn, how are you, as one single thing. When someone asks you, how are you? You don't have to think about the grammar or what each word means. You just answer with another group of words, like, I'm good, thanks, or I'm doing well. The more of these ready-made groups of words you have in your mind, the faster and more natural your speech will become. So, how do you learn and use these groups of words well? First, listen carefully for them. When you're listening to podcasts, watching movies, or even just listening to conversations, pay attention not just to single words, but to how words are put together. For example, instead of just good, notice, that sounds good to me. Instead of problem, notice, that's no problem at all. Instead of thank, notice, thank you so much for your help. Or instead of sure, notice, are you sure about that? Or for sure. Second, create a special notebook or section for phrases. You can even use a digital document. Write down common phrases you hear. Organize them by situation, like greetings, asking for things, giving opinions, agreeing or disagreeing, or polite words. For example, if you're learning phrases for asking for something, you might list, could you please? Zrenia, would you mind? Zrenia, I was wondering if you could. Swing, do you think you could? Zrenia, or is it possible to? Learning these as complete groups makes your requests sound so much more natural and quick. You can also use flashcards for phrases, not just single words. On one side, put a situation or question, and on the other, put a natural English answer. For example, the front might say, someone offers you coffee. The back could say, oh, that would be great, thank you. Or, no thanks, I'm good. A great way to learn these groups of words well is shadowing and repeating. Find a short audio clip. It could be a part of a podcast, a movie conversation, or a YouTube video, and listen to it carefully. Then try to repeat exactly what you hear, copying the way the voice goes up and down, the rhythm and the speed as closely as you can. Don't just repeat words, repeat the whole flow of the sentence. This physically trains your mouth and your brain to say these groups of sounds without having to build them from scratch each time. Start with short sentences and slowly work your way up. Finally, learn collocations. These are words that often go together. For example, we say, make a decision, not do a decision. We say heavy rain, not strong rain. Learning these natural pairs greatly reduces how much you hesitate and makes your English sound much more real. Think of common verbs with nouns. Make a mistake, take a break, do homework, have a good time. Or common adjectives with nouns. Bright idea, strong coffee, fast food. When you learn and practice phrases and groups of words, you are basically putting ready-to-use language parts into your brain. This nicely avoids the need to build sentences from single words and grammar rules on the spot. It's like having your most used tools ready on your workbench instead of having to search for them in a big toolbox every single time. It truly makes your speaking faster and sound much more natural. Now, this next tip might be the hardest one for many learners, but I promise you it's very important. Stop being afraid of mistakes. The biggest block to speaking without thinking is often the huge fear of making errors. When you are always checking yourself for grammar slips, wrong words, or bad pronunciation, you make your speaking much slower. Your brain gets stuck trying to correct itself all the time, which is the exact opposite of speaking freely. Think about it for a moment. When a baby learns to walk, they fall down many, many times. Do they stop trying because they fell? No. They get right back up, they change a bit, and they try again. Each fall gives useful information to their small brains. Learning a language is exactly the same. Mistakes are not failures. They are very useful feedback. They simply tell you where you might not understand something clearly or where you need a bit more practice. So, how do you create a safe place for this kind of practice without pressure? Well, you can start by talking to yourself again. Yes, we talked about thinking in English. But now let's talk about speaking out loud to yourself. This is the best place where no one will judge you. Describe what's around you. Tell yourself a story. Practice explaining an idea you learned. Don't stop to fix every single mistake. Just keep the words coming out. The goal here is to speak a lot and easily, not perfectly. You can always listen back if you record yourself, but at first, just focus on speaking freely. Next, try to find a language exchange partner. Look for someone who is also learning English, or a native speaker who is learning your language. The main point here is to find someone you truly feel comfortable with, someone who won't judge your mistakes, and who understands that both of you are there to learn and grow. Many websites connect language learners for free or cheaply. When you find a partner, make a rule together. Let's focus on talking and speaking easily, not on correcting every single mistake. Sometimes small corrections can help, but stopping all the time really kills the flow. You can also use AI chatbots and apps. There are so many apps and AI tools available now that are made just for language practice. These can be absolutely great because they are always patient and never judge you. You can type or speak to them and they will answer in English. This is a wonderful way to practice making sentences and expressing ideas without the pressure of a real person listening. Some even give you instant feedback or ideas to get better. Another very good way, though sometimes uncomfortable at first, is to record yourself. Record yourself speaking for just a few minutes about any topic that comes to mind. Don't listen back right away. Just get used to the sound of your own voice speaking English. Later, when you do listen, don't be too hard on yourself. Instead, try to find just 1 or 2 areas you'd like to improve for your next recording. Maybe it's how you say a certain word or a specific grammar rule. This process changes your mistakes into useful learning points instead of reasons to feel bad about yourself. If you're taking classes or working with a tutor, ask for free talk times. These are times when you just talk freely about anything without a strict lesson plan. The focus is simply on getting comfortable with speaking and thinking of ideas in real time. This works because when you greatly reduce the pressure of needing to be perfect, your brain can relax and focus only on saying what you mean instead of carefully fixing everything. This allows the new direct paths, from thought to English, to become stronger without anything getting in the way. The more you speak, even if it's not perfect, the more automatic and natural the whole process becomes. Remember, mistakes are useful information that gently guides your learning, not big problems that stop it. You've probably heard it many times. Immerse yourself in English. But what does that really mean, and how does it truly help you stop translating? It's not just about having English sounds playing in the background. It's mostly about actively using the language. Think about how a child learns their first language. They are always surrounded by it, but they also use it. They try to say sounds, understand meanings, and eventually say their own thoughts. We need to do the same kind of active using. So, how do you actively immerse yourself? First, watch and listen with a clear goal. For movies and TV shows, you can start by watching with English subtitles. This helps you connect the spoken words with the written ones. But don't stay there forever. Once you feel good with a certain show or type of program, try watching without any subtitles at all. Focus on trying to understand the main idea of what's being said from the situation, body language, faces, and the tone of voice. Don't worry if you don't catch every single word. The goal is to train your brain to understand English directly, even if you don't get 100% of it at first. If you're watching something you've already seen in your first language, that's even better, as you already know the story and can focus more on the language. For podcasts and audiobooks, don't just play them while you're doing other things. Choose a topic that you are truly interested in. Listen, pause, and try to summarize what you've just heard in your head, or even out loud in English. If there are new words you absolutely need to know, look them up. If there are interesting phrases, write them down. This active way of processing is very important. Second, read to understand, not just to translate. Start with things you truly enjoy. If you love stories, pick up an English novel. If you like news, read an English newspaper or blog. The key here is to find things that really keep your interest. A common trap is stopping for every new word. If you stop to translate every single word you don't know, you'll always break your reading flow and understanding. Instead, try your best to understand the meaning from the words around it. Keep a small notebook nearby to quickly write down only the most important new words to look up after you've finished a paragraph or a page. Another helpful tip is to read aloud. Reading aloud, even if just to yourself, connects seeing the words with saying them. This strongly helps your brain learn the patterns of spoken English. Beyond that, make a simple change. Change your device language. Set your phone, your computer, and your social media apps to English. This easily shows you everyday words and phrases in a useful way. You'll learn words like settings, notifications, privacy, share, like, comment, and profile without even trying. And finally, follow people who create content in English. On YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, find people who talk about topics you like. Listen to how they naturally speak. This helps you hear real, everyday English, including common slang and expressions. This works because always using English actively turns your whole world into a powerful learning tool. Your brain is amazing at finding patterns. The more it sees and hears English in a useful, interesting way, the more it starts to learn and use patterns directly, without needing to go through your first language. It builds a huge mental library of English sounds, words, and structures that you can then use for speaking easily. This last tip is a wonderful, practical way to use thinking in English that directly helps you find words. It's about purposefully making your brain find English words and phrases for the objects and ideas right around you, instead of first thinking of them in your first language. This is a very powerful practice for building those direct brain pathways we've been talking about. So, how do you practice this English description? It's simple. Pick an object, any object, right now. Look around you. Pick something simple. Your phone, a cup, a book, a pen, a curtain, a plant. Now, describe it out loud, or even just in your head, completely in English. You might say, "This is a pen. It's blue and black. It has a cap and a clip. I use it for writing notes. It's on my desk, right next to my keyboard." Or, "That's a window. It has glass and a frame. I can see the trees outside. The sunlight is coming through the window." Perhaps, "This is my cup. It's white with some pretty patterns on it. It's made of ceramic. I just drank tea from it. It's still a little warm." As you get better, try to add more details, like colors, how things feel, and what they do. For example, "This wooden table is rectangular. It has 4 legs. It feels smooth when I touch it. I usually eat my meals here." Don't just limit yourself to objects. Describe actions and scenes too. If you see someone walking, think, "That person is walking quickly. They're wearing a red jacket. They look like they are in a hurry." If you're in a park, describe it. "The birds are singing. The wind is blowing gently. The leaves on the trees are green. Many people are sitting on the benches." Always use what you see to help you think of English words. If you see a car, think about its color, if it's moving fast or slow, whether it's big or small. This forces you to find descriptive words in English right away. This works because this practice actively trains your brain to skip the step of translating from your first language for common objects and ideas. It builds direct links between what you see and its English name and description. The more you practice this, the more quickly those English words will come to mind when you see or think of something, instead of having to remember the word in your first language first and then translate. It's a very effective way to learn more English words that you can use every day. So, how do all these powerful ideas work together to help you speak English easily? Imagine your brain as a muscle. When you first start learning English, that direct English speaking muscle is quite weak. You naturally rely on the translation muscle because it's stronger and more familiar. But by always using these 5 connected ways, you are doing special exercises to make that direct English muscle stronger. Thinking in English starts to train your inner thoughts to use English by default, making it your go-to language for thoughts. Focusing on phrases and chunks gives you ready-made parts of language, greatly reducing the need to build sentences word by word on the spot. Practicing without pressure removes the self-made block on your speaking, letting your brain try things freely and make those direct connections stronger. Active immersion fills your brain with natural English patterns, helping it quickly learn to understand and say them directly without thinking. And finally, describing your world builds direct links between ideas and English words, completely skipping the translation step for everyday things. This isn't about getting rid of your first language at all. It's about building a strong, separate language system in your brain that can work on its own and very well. It's a wonderful journey, not an end point, and it definitely needs patience and practice. There will certainly be days when you feel like you're still translating, and that's perfectly, completely normal. Just know it's happening, and then gently guide your brain back to these strong ways of practicing. Remember, the main goal here is fluency, not perfect speech. Fluency means speaking smoothly and understanding easily. It certainly doesn't mean speaking without any mistakes. Enjoy the whole process, be happy with every little bit of your progress, and always be kind to yourself. Every time you try to think in English, every phrase you learn well, every conversation you bravely have, you are actively building that direct path. You are one very important step closer to truly talking English without thinking. You've absolutely got this. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep speaking. If you found this deep dive helpful, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to English Active Listening for even more tips and lessons to boost your English skills. And I would truly love to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these 5 tips are you going to focus on first this week to start speaking English without thinking? Let's share our ways and help each other. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.